We are now only a few weeks away from the launch of Modern Warfare, and I don't know about you guys, but I cannot wait to jump back onto the game and experience all it has to offer once again. However, for the time being, the majority of our MW intel is coming either straight from Infinity Ward and Activision, or through various leakers. And today, thanks to Activision's blog, we are going to be breaking down the secret origins of Modern Warfare's main characters. The campaign this year is set to be one of the best in franchise history due to its brutal nature and intense storyline that we have seen teased a handful of times already. But now we've actually got a much better understanding of the main characters that we'll see this year, both on the protagonist side of things and also on the antagonist side of things. Before we jump into all of that spicy content today though, if you guys are new here, feel free to subscribe with your post notifications turned on. That way you'll always know when a new video goes live. And of course, if you enjoyed this one, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it does really help grow the channel. And now let's get into the origins and backstories of the main characters here in Modern Warfare. So all of this information, as I mentioned, is courtesy of Activision's Biographies blog series that they have been posting pretty consistently up until this point. At the time of recording this video, we've got the origin stories for 8 different characters, and while we're not sure if there will be more origin stories released in the coming days leading up to launch, what we have to work with now is pretty interesting if you are looking forward to the game in general, as it has been said that this year, the campaign, spec ops, and multiplayer modes are all intertwined and connected rather than each being their own individual thing. So we'll end up seeing the direct effects of these characters and their actions in every single aspect of MW. That said, our first origin story is in regards to Captain John Price, who obviously is no stranger to the Call of Duty franchise, as we have seen him appear many times over the years within the Modern Warfare series. This year though, Price's backstory is unique to this game. John Price is the captain of the British 22nd Special Air Service Regiment, and up until the point in which Modern Warfare takes place, he spent most of his career fighting in the shadows. He's been shot, captured, abandoned, blown up, locked up, tortured, and left for dead. So apparently this man Price is like the ultimate boss fight for his enemies. You just cannot kill him. These dudes who have captured him and beat him up probably thought that the game Dark Souls was hard. Little did they know, Captain Price was a much tougher battle. Anyways, according to this biography, Price joined the infantry at the age of 16, and he's been serving in the British Army for 18 years. He was also one of the youngest cadets to ever graduate the Royal Military Academy as a commissioned officer, and was even badged as a member of the SAS, thanks to his help in multiple covert operations in the Middle East. In 2011, Price was promoted to captain under the call sign Bravo 6, and since then, he's been in charge of a highly effective unit who specializes in anti-hijacking counter-terrorism missions. This biography also describes Price as a peerless combat tracker, a covert jungle, desert, and urban operator, a sniper, and a saboteur. He'll work closely with Western intelligence agencies assigned to aggressively pursue HVTs, or high-value targets, who we'll end up learning more about a bit later on into the video. Price's backstory finishes with a few of his quotes, including "The rules of engagement don't change, but their justification does," "One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter," and "We get dirty and the world stays clean." All around, Price is someone who is not above a rogue move or an unholy alliance if it means the job will get done, and I'm sure we'll see plenty of that in action throughout the campaign this year. Next up, we've got Kyle Garrick, who is a sergeant under the Special Air Service Regiment. Back in 2014, Kyle initially enlisted in the British Army, serving in the Queen's Lancashire Regiment, where he spent 4 years participating in test flights, jump competitions, and marksmanship tests, before he was finally selected to join the Elite Special Air Service, or the SAS, and he's now in his 6th year there. For the majority of his career, Kyle Garrick has been hunting terrorist fighters. One particular quote from Garrick that's mentioned in this biography really displays his emphasis on tactical awareness, as he says, "Everyone talks about the physical aspect of being in the SAS, but my job is mostly mental. Give me a guy who's got his mindset right over a guy who's twice as fit any day of the week." Garrick has received multiple medals during his time in the Middle East, and currently he serves on the SAS domestic counterterrorism program, working on European soil. However, he does hope to once again serve abroad and make a real difference fighting against the threat of terror. When describing his role within the SAS, he explains, "We move in silence, do our job and melt away. No publicity, no media. It takes stamina, willpower, guts, and brains. Got those? We'll welcome you a try at being one of us. If you haven't got all that, then off with you." Following that up, we've got Alex, just Alex, no last name. Apparently he is too cool for that. But Alex does have a nickname, and that is Echo 31. Alex is currently an operations officer within the Special Activities Division of the CIA, who's responsible for high-threat covert missions. Alex is not one to initially appear as a government associate, and instead leads small teams that must survive inhospitable conditions in some of the most hostile locations on the planet. His go-to accessories include laptops, light machine guns, sat phones, and rocket-equipped combat drones, so I think it is pretty clear that Alex is a very tech-savvy guy. On his list of mission profiles, you can find counterinsurgency, counterterrorism, and anti-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, to name a few. For the past 6 years of his life, Alex has been living under assumed identities to help achieve quote-unquote sensitive objectives. So basically, he is the kind of guy who has that particular set of skills to get the job done. And in the case of modern warfare, he works directly with residential armies on the ground face to face, so he's also kind of a people person. Then, to close out Alex's biography, he's also been involved in multiple enemy leadership assassination actions. Moving on, next up we have Kate Laswell, who is the supervisor of the Special Activities Division in the CIA. She's seen the trial and error preceding her time as supervisor when it comes to fighting the war on terror, and really her main goal is to break that cycle. She's well educated, and her first real military experience came at the hands of the Islamabad station chief, who recruited her as a targeter for their lethal drone strike program. Shortly after that, she was then relocated to the US Africa Command at Camp Lominer, where she and her associates were attacked by a suicide bomber. After surviving the incident, Kate has made global security her top priority. In her time at the CIA, Kate has saved thousands of lives through developing detainee information, and although she's hard to supervise, Kate has played a vital role in the CIA. Currently, she reports to the CIA's Inspector General through a top secret category called Top Secret/Sensitive Compartmented. This puts her in the heart of critical terrorist activity both at home and abroad, and thus she works closely with Alex and also has a close professional relationship with one Captain Price. And we've actually already seen that on display throughout some of the trailers that have been released so far. Now let's jump over to Fara Ahmed Karim, who is the leader of the Urzikstan Liberation Force, or the ULF, which I'll refer to it as for the remainder of the video. Fara is the founding member and commander of the ULF and has been ever since 2010. She uses the ULF as a means to fight to return their subjugated population to sovereignty, and although it's not her first choice, in order to protect her people from owing a debt to the rest of the world, she only accepts select funding from the international community, but she would much rather be reliant on her force supporting itself. Luckily for her though, the ULF also has the support of the SAS's Bravo Squadron. Now as a child, Fara and her brother Hadir were caught and had to spend their teenage years held as prisoners of war by General Barkov's rogue forces. While they were captives, Fara and her brother often witnessed acts of chemical experimentation on fellow prisoners, but in 2009, she and her brother ended up escaping, and from that point on, she vowed to give her life to freeing her country from the chaos that she had just endured. While Fara's main priority is freeing her country, she also wants to free women in general from the old-fashioned stereotypes and gender roles that have been set in place for years upon years. Due to her missions and her overall objective, Fara has attracted a great bit of attention from enemy forces, including Russian soldiers and also the terror group Al-Qatala. One particular trait that Fara carries is that she will not launch attacks or counteroffensives outside of her own country, and instead reassures that the ULF is a protective force and not killers. Alongside Fara, we also have Hadir Karim, who, as mentioned, is Fara's brother and also the combat lieutenant for the ULF. His upbringing strongly mirrors Fara's. As we discussed, they were both captured in General Barkov's raid of their city, and thus Hadir grew up without much guidance or moral instruction. Due to the torment and chaos that he had to endure growing up, Hadir was molded into a hostile, cunning guerrilla fighter, who is viewed as a very trustworthy person by his allies. Unlike his sister though, Hadir can be a bit more extreme in his decision making, which is really the only major difference that him and his sister share outside of their ULF ranks. Hadir considers aggression to be necessary in terms of liberating his people, and although he has never left the borders of his country, his main goal is to protect it from the inside at all costs. Now we jump over to the antagonists of MW, and this is where things get even more brutal. The first antagonist we'll be taking a look at is Jamal Rahar, whose suspected identity is unconfirmed, and thus he is also known simply as the Butcher. According to his biography, the Butcher is one of the most wanted terrorists in the world, coming second to his leader and mentor, the Wolf, who we'll learn a bit more about here momentarily. The Butcher, Al-Qatala's primary enforcer, wants nothing more than to see all the governments and elected officials fall to the ground. The Butcher is a man of secrecy, as very few pictures of him are actually known, and like I said, his real identity is unconfirmed. The only reason the CIA even suspects his real name to be Jamal Rahar is because the name Rahar appeared on several documents recovered by a raid on one of the Wolf's terrorist training camps 4 years ago. He got the nickname the Butcher through his several brutal killings of government officials, as each execution is recorded and posted on the dark web. Safe to say, the Butcher is a man to be feared all across the world, but there is one person who is to be feared more, and that is our final main character for today, known as the Wolf, or Omar Suleiman. Suleiman is the leader of Al-Qatala and is responsible for multiple terror attacks against the world's major powers. Here's the thing though, he once was actually a freedom fighter himself and a hero in the eyes of the West. He gave up his regular life to fight against Russian influence in Afghanistan and was a key ally to the Western forces, that is, until he saw a lack of will amongst the intervening political and military leaders. Anarchy is a favorite element of Suleiman's larger plan, and Empire and Enterprise are really his main enemy. In 2013, the Wolf issued a laminated card script emphasizing his distaste for Empire and Enterprise, particularly in the West. When he was younger, he witnessed his father's company fall victim to corruption and hypocrisy at the hands of royalty, religious leaders, military, and government, which sparked a burning rage, if you will, within him. Al-Qatala represents the Killers, and his organization has gained a mass following from those who share similar ideologies. Despite his fame though, the Wolf is not seen in public very often and instead has a series of safe houses across Europe and Asia. Rumors say that in 2014, a Russian airstrike severely injured Suleiman, causing him to lose vision in both of his eyes. After that, he released a message claiming that the blood of revenge is never in vain. And with that, the hidden backstories and origins of the main characters in MW come to a close. And in just a few short weeks, we'll be living in the world of these characters through the game's highly anticipated campaign. Which of these characters seems to be the most interesting and/or intriguing to you? Drop me a comment down below with your thoughts on that. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated. And of course, if you are new here to the channel and you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the world of Call of Duty, feel free to subscribe with your post notifications turned on. That way you'll always know when a new video goes live. As always, be sure to use code IMMORTAL to get a nice little discount on all G Fuel, Control Freak, and Respawn products. All of those links can be found down in the description below. And once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.